The following sanitized slide depicts faculty, staff, and students at the because we're talking about how this thing is funneling down into the classrooms, into children, yeah? Okay, it started at the university level, but nothing that starts there stops there. It will funnel down. So, this slide depicts faculty, staff, and students at the San Francisco Institute for the Advanced Study of Human Sexuality in San Francisco. They are engaged in a public orgy. I have the book here. The Institute launched in 1968, designs, awards myriad degrees in human sexuality, trains in the design of sex education curricula that go into our schools, and grants certificates as therapists, sex educators, and so forth at multiple levels of training. That's safe sex training, that's diversity training, that's training in AIDS prevention, that sort of thing. You can go to this institute and you can, if you wish, join in. Okay, now did everybody see that enough? Okay. So, I tried to show as much as I could show. There wasn't much I could show there. And I did not also include the child pornography in that book, because there is absolutely child pornography that the Institute, which is the Harvard for Human Sexuality Education worldwide, there is child pornography in that book, and that child pornography was sold by that institute to Hustler magazine. Y'all know what Hustler magazine is? Okay, so it's a pornographic magazine, all right? It's not a financial, magazine, although they apparently make a good deal of money. But so it was sold to Hustler magazine, and the pictures of the child pornography then were published in Hustler magazine alongside a narrative by one of the Institute faculty in which he advocated for an end to age of consent and an end to the incest laws. All right. Now, this institute then has trained the educators who go into Northridge and who go into Harvard and who go to all of your major institutions, colleges and universities all over the country and teach human sexuality. We have problems. This is the cover of the book. I can show that to you. And it was, the two authors were ministers. They were reverends. This statement comes from George Leonard. He described some of the training at the Institute. He said, simultaneously, he was there to investigate. He was doing a report for Esquire. I see you. It's all right. Simultaneously, he says, on 17 screens, the sensory overload culminated in a multimedia event called the FUCK-orama. Images of human beings, sometimes, there's Bonnie, even animals, in every conceivable sex act, accompanied by wails, squeals, moans, shouts, and the first movement of the Tchaikovsky violin concerto. I want to show you that they're really classy, right? This is a class act. What can I say? Okay? And now, on the way home, George Leonard, who's a liberal guy, yeah, on the way home, he said, looking back, I was traumatized. He said, I didn't realize how thoroughly I had been desensitized during the time I was at that institute. And he said, but when I thought about it, so I realized that actually love wasn't even mentioned once with all this sexual activity that had been taking place. This is called the sexual attitude restructuring. It's called the SAR, and that is used in all human sexuality training courses, bar none. Now, some will have worse stuff, and some will be a little bit worse, and some will be less worse. Now, I find this fascinating. Their minds are in our hands. The Minnesota Department of Children, Families, and Learning, 1999, and this is the educational institution, National Education Association at the UN, wants to force the SAR, what we just saw, the kind of thing, on all children. Representing the NEA, Diane Schneider said, I pronounce her name right, oral sex, masturbation, orgasms need to be taught in education. Those opposed to homosexuality are stuck in a binary box that religion, remember, and family create. Children should be forced to learn about orgasms, says the National Review, their summary, because they said their children should not be allowed to opt out, was the position of the NEA. Children should be forced to learn about orgasm against their parents' wishes. I would suggest that the National Review has no idea of what they're really going to be forced to learn about it, because it isn't just orgasms, excuse me. Now, looking at this issue,